Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, good morning. All right, let's see.
Morning.
Hello, Leroy.
Good
Let's
morning.
see. I have sent you guys an email. Let me see. Karen, I probably did not get you in. Rebecca was on my list. Leroy, Justin, Denise, Nick. Okay, Karen, please type in your email, the one that you actually use. It doesn't have to be CIX, into the chat. I'm just going to add it to my list right now. Brandon, the same to you. Please type in your actual email
Okay.
in the chat. Now I'll get it all. I see, Rebecca. Okay, just make sure you type in. Okay, Karen, you're using the CIX. I see. Okay. Control C. All right. Finally, I'll have a full list, which will, Control C. No. Karen. E. Sophie. CIX. Thank you. Yeah, Rebecca, I have your email. It's Brandon that I would like to get. Thank you, Brandon. So you're using your school address, I see.
Yep.
PSY. Okay, good. So it's okay because I'll post the files in chat as well, so it's not a problem. I just want to get everybody's address in one list. Otherwise, I'm kind of confused. At CIX. Okay, great. Let's see who else just joined us. Nisrian, do I have your Nisrian, hi, can you please type in the actual email address that you are using into the chat? I'm trying to collect all the addresses in one place because I have them in different in different places. So awful. Let's see, Isaac, the same question favor to you. Please type in your actual email address. I see. Nisrian, you're using the school email address. Okay, good. Isaac, I know you and I communicated. I just don't want to rummage through my email now. Just type it in. Sorry, guys, a little bit of housekeeping. CIX. Like I said, I'll post the files into chat, so it's not a problem. It's just for my future communication with you. I see you, Isaac, you're using the school address. Hi, Simon, I have yours. Not a problem. You're good. Let me just move that a little bit. Amr, what do I have for you, Amr? Amr, please type in the email address you actually use. It doesn't have to be CIX, into the chat right now. Melissa, I have yours. Amanda, I have yours. Okay, good. So let me start with posting the two files that I want for now. That I want you guys. Thank you, Amar. Okay. All right, so we want two files, two exercises that we will need today. All right. I emailed them to a few people whose email addresses I had on hand. But that's it. Oops, there is one. And let me post. So download these two files so that they're close to you. Hi, Julia. I have your email address. You're good? Okay. So you should have gotten two files, both in Word, in chat, right? Everybody's okay? If you didn't get it, if you can't download it, let me know. Okay, goody. All right, we have a lot of stuff to do today. So let's start with a little bit of a schedule of what we will do. So you have an idea. As usual, I never know how far we can get with the stuff. Oops. Come on, thingy. Let's open up. Let me make it larger. All right. Can everybody see the agenda for today? Good. Good. Thank you. All right. So we, I know a bunch of you attended the lecture on Tuesday. That was good. Like I told you before, that's one of my favorite topics. Too bad we didn't have enough time to go through visual, perceptual illusions. That would be another piece of evidence for the constructive view of perception. But there's one little piece that I would like us to do.
Esther,
Yes, Leroy, go ahead.
I forgot to write the summary and upload it on Blackboard. Can I do it today?
Yeah, you can do it until Monday, Leroy. All the activities for week 3 are open until the end of Monday of the next week. So you have plenty of time.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Right, so this is what I want to do. I want to talk for 5 minutes to you guys about subliminal persuasion, which is related to extrasensory perception. I mentioned it, but I didn't get the chance to do that. Then we will move on swiftly. You guys doing some work together. The groups are posted on the Blackboard. So let's see what we have. So group 1 is Karen and Raphael. Group 2 is Denise and Julia. Group 3 is Nisrian and oh, I lost the second partner. Oh, Amanda, sure. Sorry, not looking in the right place. Group 4 is Jeffrey and Rebecca. Group 5 is Simon and Justin. Group 6 is Brandon and Bishoy. Group 7 is Irani, and unfortunately Lana, who joined us a little late, had to drop because she actually is sick, and so she has to take care of her health. So the new partner for Irani in group 7 will be Diamond. I don't know if either of them is on yet. Group 8 is Noor and Melissa. Group 9 is Ari and Leroy. Group 10 is Nick and Isaac. And group 11 is Parker and Amr. So we have 22 people. We have 11 groups. Now remember that you can change the group. Hopefully it's not going to happen after you're done with lab report 1, experiment 1, which is due on October 1st. Right, so what you will do next after we are done with a little bit of a subliminal persuasion is go to Google Docs. One of you should create a file that will be the group file and invite the partner and me, the 3 of us, right, to be together in that Google Doc. So then you'll be doing your work instead of doing it in breakout rooms, which, I mean, it's a little cumbersome, but maybe we'll have to go back to that, is to do the work for today's class in your group Google Doc. So I need you, I'm talking to you now, so you could start doing that. You could go to Google Drive and create a file which you will share with your partner and me as we're doing that. So then we'll start with a little exercise about perception, because we need to do some work related to the topic of today's week, and then we will switch gears and work on our lab report 1 that has to do with the experiment that you conducted. I'll talk to you a little bit about, just don't panic, don't panic. Whenever I say the word statistics, people like, don't panic. We'll talk a little bit about statistics, not an enormous amount of statistics. I will suggest that you spend, not now, but before the lab report is due, learning a little bit about this program called JASP. Yeah, of course, I can teach you SPSS. That's what I do in 330. But I don't want to go to SPSS for several reasons. One is because we have to do it virtually, and that's not a good experience. We did that in the spring and students just cried. So I don't want you to be in this situation. Plus, we don't need SPSS. We need something that's very, very simple and very, very user-friendly. And that's what JASP is. In fact, those of you who are taking 266 or will be taking 266, I suggest that you do whatever work you need to do in actually in JASP. You'll like it. Then we'll spend a little bit of time on, let me move it up, talking about what a lab report looks like in the APA style. Now remember, we're using APA 7. Those of you who took 201 obviously learned 6. There are a few differences. They're not significant in terms of the effects on, in fact, whatever some differences are, they actually are better than APA 6, so it's good. And then we'll try to do another exercise. Okay, so that's my plan. Any quick questions before I move on to my first item on the agenda? A few people joined, so let me ask who else is on my list whose emails I don't have. I'm going back to this. So Parker, please type in your email address in the chat right now. And I think that's Jeffrey, are you there? Type in your email address in chat right now. The one that you actually use. It doesn't have to be, good, thank you. I think that's it. I may have to come back to some of you. Okie dokie. So, go away, and let's do a little bit of subliminal persuasion stuff. Where are we? Here we go. Share. And okay. All right. So subliminal perception. That's what I want to talk to you about in just a few minutes. It's not going to be anything substantial. We just didn't finish on Tuesday. The answer to Justin's question is yes, you're creating a blank document that it has to be in the Word format or in the word processor, and it has to be shared with your partner and with me. So there is a button at the top that says share. So add your partner and me to that. Okay, good. So, all right. So what is a subliminal perception, right? That means that your participants, if this is an experiment or just people in general, will be processing some information coming from the environment without actually being aware of that. That is, you don't know that you're processing this information. And as a result, you act upon it, but you don't know why. And one of the options is that your participant or your people are aware of a stimulus, but there is a component of that stimulus that they don't seem to be paying attention to consciously, right? But it has some motivational impact on people's behavior, All right. Now we talked about this famous and completely debunked, hopefully, study by Vickery of 1957 when there was the effect of so-called 25th frame. If anybody knows video production knows that the way it is designed is that we have 24 frames to make sure that we seamlessly perceive motion, for example. So that was when people were persuaded to either go and buy popcorn and eat it, or go and buy Pepsi. I think it was Pepsi, and buy it and drink it. Now, we mentioned that before, that we have plenty of evidence in the 60 years since it was first reported that it doesn't work. Again,
Coca-Cola.
it was Coca-Cola. Okay, thank you, Leroy. One of those Cokes, doesn't matter. So that's the gist of supposedly subliminal perception and or persuasion. It would be, for the participant, for the person, it will be subliminal perception. But the way the advertisers are trying to position it is going to be subliminal persuasion. That is, they persuade you to do something. All right. So usually, again, we talk about it in terms of ads. They would like to motivate you to buy these products. As you perhaps are aware, that the most common type of ad these days on the TV are the ads from the pharmaceutical companies. They show you some fancy new drug for diabetes 2 or depression or something else, and they say, go talk to your doctor. So the doctor would prescribe this to you. And the way they do it is lovely little anecdotal stories about some unhappy person who lives her life. Let's say it's a woman, and things get so much better when she's taking this medication. She's happy now, she smiles, she goes out with her friends. And usually these are kind of long, they're like 3 minutes or so, which is unusual. So they're trying to persuade you to, obviously you can get these drugs by itself. Fast food restaurants, absolutely, yes. Beautiful. You guys perhaps know, I don't know if you do, that McDonald's and Burger King, Wendy, and a bunch of others actually use what they call food stylists. These are the people who create these burgers that don't look natural, but they look beautiful, right? So they enhance the details. Like if it's a pickle, you can see that the little wrinkles on the pickle's skin, or you can see the sesame seeds on the bun. And of course it's plump and fluffy and it looks tall. So when you go to a Burger King or MD and you order this burger, it doesn't look like anything, because it's a food stylist's job to make sure. So when they advertise, they put these wonderful stylized doctored images. So they create this mouth-watering sensation in your mouth. There is an interesting study, again, an old one, 1975, by somebody whose name is Hess, where he took pictures of female faces, and he manipulated the size of the pupil. So you can have the pupils that are kind of large and sort of staring at you, and you can have normal pupils. And of course, you can imagine that in 1975, the participants in Hess's study were men, and the men were supposed to judge women's faces as attractive on a scale. And obviously what he found was that those faces that had enlarged pupils were judged as more attractive to the male participants in the study. And there is an interesting article, again, somebody who's is excited about this topic. You could read it from 1992, but it's a good one. It gives you a lot of sort of food for thought on how to deal with that. And it's called Subliminal Perception, Facts and Fallacies. It allows you to think about on your own whether this is actually the case. Sometimes the presentation of the stimulus is supposed to be okay, but it's actually degraded in a certain way. Maybe the sound is not that great, or the video is grainy. There are other things. Sometimes this suboptimal presentation is actually meant to be this way. And the idea is to see whether that will have a subsequent effect on your participants' behavior. So again, the eat popcorn would be an example of that. But the one that I want to share with you next few minutes is the famous 1985 trial from Judas Priest. That's a rock band. Has anybody ever heard a song by Judas Priest? You guys, I know you're all very young, but maybe you have a parent who is, yeah, Leroy.
Judas Priest is Ozzy Osbourne's original band.
That's right. Fantastic. Yay. So let's, I hope it will work. I tried it. So let me show you this little clip about what happened in 1985. Can you guys hear the sound? That's the most important part.
No.
No, okay. Let's see. Let's do it again. How about now?
No, still can't hear it.
Still can't hear it. Gee, too bad. It was supposed to be fine because it's embedded in the PowerPoint. Okay, then I'm now gonna spend time on doing that, but maybe I can. So this is an introduction to that. Okay, so there are two teenagers. One was 18-year-old young guy. You saw the first picture. The second one is this person, his friend, who's 20 years old. So they were listening to a Judas Priest song. Doesn't really matter what it is. And they were smoking pot. Okay. And they listened. So they had an LP, that is what we had before CDs. And they listened to that album just nonstop for several hours. And then they got a shotgun. They climbed out of the window of the house where they were and went to the playground, and that's where they committed suicide. So the first one, the 18-year-old, died immediately on the at the scene, and the second one actually lived for another 3 years and ultimately died from the complications. So then the family, well, they left some notes and they had diaries and whatever. So the families of these two young men sued the group, Judas Priest, saying that they had a subliminal message embedded in the song that said, do it, or just do it. And what they claimed was that it wasn't the actual phrase that was in the lyrics, but it was actually reverse lyrics. So if you take the song, and you can do it in various programs, and you can listen to the reverse soundtrack, supposedly that's what you will hear. But remember, the claim was that the persuasion was subliminal. These two young men did not actually, were not aware that they were getting this message. Okay, but ultimately the message affected them to the point that they committed suicide. So what I'll do, maybe I'll post a link for you guys so you can see that little clip of this. So can somebody give me a very quick counter argument why that could not be? Well, it's okay. Let's assume that there may be some kind of influence, but not necessarily subliminal. Can somebody give me a counter argument why this could not be the only reason why they committed suicide. We don't listen to music backwards. That's true. But remember, this is, okay, Amanda says they were high. Okay. Because no one else did. Simon, yes, that's great. Imagine this particular LP was sold in hundreds of thousands. So ask your parents, ask your, aunts and uncles. Maybe you'll find somebody who liked Judas Priest. Ask them, everybody was listening for those who are into this heavy metal stuff, but nobody else did. So what kind of evidence is that? So that's the case of subliminal perception, most probably famous one. I mean, there's a bunch of others. They were doing drugs too, right? And they were curious and they were tempted. Okay, good. So there are a bunch of reasons, but the most important one, I think, is that the ironclad evidence that nobody else was affected. I mean, what kind of persuasion is it if it only affects two people? Okay, so now you guys, I'm going to ask you, the image is a little grainy, but that's okay. I want you to look at this image. Now, remember, this is the situation when the stimulus is obvious to you because you can see it. That's not subliminal. But there is supposedly a subliminal message in this image. What is it?
Is it that it's like glistening? And
Well, Brandon,
Sparkle.
it's right. Well, remember, it cannot,
artistic?
artistic, but it cannot be obvious. It has to be something that you have to think about and then bring it to your sort of awareness and then share it with us, because the message, if it is here, is subliminal. Now, let me ask you, let me give you a hint. Which part of the, so there is a bottle and there is a glass on this image. Which of these two has the subliminal message encoded in it? The bottle or the glass?
The glass.
Yes, Leroy, the glass. Uh-huh. Okay. To use gin in your drinks, that's, Jeffrey, that's not very subliminal, right? That's obviously, it is gin. But what's now, let's focus on the glass. The cubes, the cubes are doing something. What do the cubes?
I guess it would be that it's a way to cool off and that the drink is cold.
Okay, Leroy, that's not very subliminal either. Obviously, you have ice, so it has to be cold. But Simon is very close. Simon says that the ice cubes are doing something. Yes, they spell out something. Okay, let's do that. Remember, I'm not a very good. I just need a different color. Let's say I'll use red. Okay, so remember, I'm not a very good artist, but I'll do my best. Okay, that's the subliminal message. Presumably, you're supposed to now go and have sex. That's the idea. Okay, good. So I would be curious to see now, of course, I revealed the story to you, whether you, no way, right? Whether you would actually go and do it after the class if you have a chance. Let me show you one more and let's get rid of the previous one. Okay, undo. While you're looking at it, I will try to undo the. All right, so I'm asking you now to look at this image, and I'm not going to reveal the subliminal message now. I want you to sort of mull over it, so to speak, until the end of the class and see if somebody can tell me what this subliminal message is all about. Okay, so I'll give you another 30 seconds to look at that. Meanwhile, everybody should also download the 2 files that I sent you. And we're going to move on to Google Docs. All right. That's enough for a subliminal message. I'm going to stop now. So what I'm waiting for you now, guys, is to create a Google Doc. Does anybody need help on how to create a document? You go to your Google Drive and you create a new file. You add your partner and me using the share button at the top. Okay? Good. So now we will move on. Close this. Close this. And we will move on to exercise 3.2 called perception. So you should get it from the chat, but I also sent it to you guys in an email, but not everybody.
Professor?
1 second. Let me see. Yes, Nick.
I tried to add you to the Google Doc, but I don't know if it's not working. I have to use like the email you send us, like the csi.cuny.edu.
Yeah, it will. I mean, I have a bunch of accounts, but it should come to me anyway. So let me see if I receive.
I tried it. When I added Isaac, it like popped up, like it gave me a choice, like click on his email, but it's not giving me that option for you.
Okay, let me check my email. Just a second. All right. All right. All right. We meeting? Yes, Zoom. Yes, Zoom. Okay. Okay, I get the message from Rebecca. I get a message from Karen. I got a message from Denise. So, Nick, you're not doing it right. Anybody, Denise, maybe, do you have access to the camera and the mic? Or Karen or somebody. What I will do, I will put you through as a co-host so you can, Denise, can you do it? Can you show us how you created a file?
Oh, I just created a regular Google Docs. Then I just shared it with my partner, and then I put your name on it. Even though it said it was wrong and you didn't have an account, I still sent it anyways.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Because I have another account. Maybe that's what it's defaulted to. So, Nick, just even if it says wrong, just send it to me, and I'm checking.
Yeah, when I go to put it in, I type it in and then I click done, but it doesn't say that I sent it.
I see.
Try it again. I think it's gonna work because for me it said the same thing. It put like a yellow exclamation point in a circle next to her email, but I sent it anyways, and it seems like she received it.
Yeah. So I'm looking now at Jeffrey and Rebecca. So you guys can start. Everybody else should continue. Okay, good. I see Rebecca's trying to type in something.
Professor?
1 second. Yes. Yes, Justin.
So the title is going to be 3.2, right?
Right. We're starting with exercise 3.2.
Wait, so are we going to use the same doc,
yes.
like the same page for every activity, or is it separate?
No, we should keep
We're going to start from there.
Yes, we should keep all your joint group activities in that file.
Oh, like a thread.
Right. You never create a new document for every class. You just have one document.
Okay.
So now, once those of you who have created the Google Docs and sent me the invite should start working on answering these 2 questions. And I will be joining you. Okay, let's see. Now let me do Karen. Accept invitation. Let's see. It's going to take, it's going to be, again, extra steps that we have to do. I see Karen and Raphael. Excellent. Okay.
I tried to do it again. Did you get mine?
1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see Karen and Raphael already a long way. Oh, good job, guys. Let me see. Okay.
Professor,
Mhm.
do you mind if you give us your email one more time?
Sure. Okay. You know what? You could try both. The first one is just my first name, my last name at CSI. We don't have CIXs. We have CSI edu. So that's the one, and it should work by what Denise told us. There will be a yellow exclamation sign, but I should still get it. Nick, no, I still did not get it, but I will. So keep working and well, maybe. Okay, I see now Julie and Denise. Fantastic. All right. I'm just going through the motion of opening those documents. Aha, very good. So start working on the exercise together. I mean, you can talk to each other. This is a joint activity, and it's not graded. This is just for you to learn a little bit more about perception by doing things.
Professor?
Okay, 1 second. Let me switch. Yes, Justin.
So we're gonna use your CSI email, right?
Yes, use the irina.secarina@csi.cuny.edu. Okay, so I have 3 groups, and I'm still waiting for the rest of you guys to create those Google Docs. I don't want to go through the other email address because that will get you totally confused. So let's continue with the CSI and see if it works.
So, Professor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Bishoy.
So for the docs, what exactly are we answering? We're answering the 2 questions?
Yes, your exercise is to answer the 2 questions. So the first one is, what is it? Our expectations influence our perception of objects in the outside world. Okay, is that?
Yeah,
Is that a correct?
I got the 2 questions. Sure, I'm gonna answer right now.
Good. So you should not just answer it,
Answer and explain.
by yourself. You have to answer it with your partner. So each of you could.
We made it. We made Doc, me and Brendan.
Oh, okay, good. Let me see if I have access to it.
All right.
All right. Okay. Melissa. Okay, good. Let's see. Bishoy. Meeting today. I'm just going through the Zoom announcements. Okay. Okay, I have an invitation from Leroy. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Leroy is good. Next one. Oh, good. A bunch of them have come through. Okay, so now I have Amr. Let's see. Okay, good. Amr is good. So Amr, you have to add your partner, not just you. It's the work from the 2 of you. Amanda. Let's see. Good. Good. Don't forget to save it with your Brandon. Perfect. With your names and group number. So it will be, so I can see when I have, you can imagine I have a bunch of tabs now. If I see the group number, it's much easier for me to navigate to that. Okay, so if you called your document something like Psych 288, please rename it to your group number and your names. So Brandon, you should rename it. Open docs. And
Professor?
Okay. Yes, Justin.
I'm having trouble sharing it with you. Can you like Like I used your CSI email and then, you know.
So who's your partner?
Simon.
Well, so Simon, you created already.
Well, I already created and then I shared it with Simon, but I have to share with you now.
Okay, so do you see the button share at the top on the right? Justin. Okay, Isaac. Did you guys? Are you there, Justin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So do you see the button at the top?
Yes.
It says share. You should just click on that and.
Professor, we're supposed to be 3.2 or 3.1?
3.2, Leroy, the one that's called perception.
Thank you.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I named them in perhaps the wrong way. All right, so let's see. Karen and Raphael, you should rename your file as well. Okay, group 4 is good. All right.
I'm sorry, Professor, but what do we have to rename our file to?
The group number and your two first names.
Okay.
So your group what?
Okay.
All right, that's you. All right, I'm looking at the group names. Group 2 is good. All right, group 9. Okay, so when you say 1 is true, you need to justify it by something that you have learned in chapter 3 or something you have learned in our lecture. Okay, Amr and Parker, you need to rename your file too with the group number so that I can see who I am working with. Group 3 is good. Okay, and group 6 is good. Group 10. Let's see who I don't have. Good. All right, let's see. Do I have 1? Yes, I do. Do I have 2? Yes. Okay.
Because I tried sharing it. Can you see if it's there?
If it came through, give me a second,
Yeah.
Justin. Let me see. Yes, Justin.
Oh, you got it, right?
Yes, I got it. Fantastic. So you should rename your file with group 5 first, okay? So I can see the name.
Just group 5, no names, just.
No, group 5, you and who's your partner? And Simon. So Justin and Simon.
Okay.
Good. Okay, there is Mehmet Aldai. Okay. Group 8. Okay, good. I got you as well. Melissa and Noor. Good. So who do I miss? Group 3. Yes, we have. Group 4. Yes. Group 5. 5. Okay, so you, Justin and Simon, right? You're gonna rename your group so I can see it's group 5. Group 6 we have. Group 7. Okay, we don't have 7. We don't have Iranian diamond today. Group 8. Yep. Okay, group 9. Ari and Leroy. Okay, you guys are here. 2, 9. Group 10. Perfect. So we only are missing one group, but they're not with us today, so not a problem.
Oh, sir, just to clarify, this is for the lab report, right?
I'm sorry, Nori, you broke up, so say it again.
Oh, okay, this is for the lab report, right?
This is for now just the exercise for chapter 3. The lab report will happen as our next step. So
okay.
now is 10:52. Now you guys have been working for at least 5 minutes, so I'm going to give you, let's say, until 11:05 maybe, and then we will try to get together and discuss what you.
Professor, my partner is not here.
Okay, so then you have to work. And who is your partner, Nor? Let's see.
Melissa.
Melissa. Funny, because I think I saw her logging in. Yeah, it looks like she's logged in. Do you have a cell phone number for her?
Yeah.
So why don't you text her and say, hey, please don't pretend you are in class when you're not, because it's not very fair to you. You're here. See, Melissa, you need to join Noor in her Google Doc. So let's work until 11:05. Okay, what you could do for question number 1 is perhaps give an example of how your expectations influence perception of a particular object. Now remember, I want you to use a little bit of knowledge from chapter 3, and in this particular case, I want you to think about the distinction between bottom-up and top-down processing, or perception in this case, but it applies across different areas of cognition, not just in perception. Okay, so if you think you're done with answering question 1, go back and add how this question relates to the difference between bottom-up and top-down processing, and add an example of how your expectations or something that belongs to you, that characterizes you as a perceiver, would influence the perception of an object or an event. Okay, Karen, it's a little, Karen and Raphael, your answers for one is a little bit too abstract.
Okay.
It's all correct, but now try to give me an example of a perception that will be affected. That is, the percept that you will construct as a result of perception will be affected by who you are.
Okay.
You and Raphael together. You can have two examples.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The same is for Julie and Denise. Top-down processing, good, but give us an example. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. I'm looking at question 1. So Ari and Leroy. 1 second. Game, I didn't believe it was serious. I tried to end up badly injuring my shoulder. So yes, the hockey injury is an interesting example, but it doesn't it sort of doesn't generalize across other participants. So what you could try is to give us an example where perceivers' qualities, and I'm not trying to influence your answer, I'm trying to give you some ideas. Maybe your cultural background, or if you're a member of a particular cultural group, or your ethnicity, or your political views would change the percept. Okay.
Thank you.
It's Amr and Parker. We were shown a piece of art that could as a whale. Good, good. Amr and Parker have a good example. Going back actually to the lecture. Perfect. All right. Let's see. This is Nisrin and Amanda. Okay, you guys need an example or two, and you need to try to tie up this answer to bottom-up versus top-down difference. Let's see, Brandon and Bishoy. Yes, you need an example again, like everybody else.
Yes, Professor. I'm still answering.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead. I'm just reading through, and when I see something that I would like you to perhaps add to, I will comment on that.
All right.
Justin, Simon, you are still in the process. I only see one sentence for group 1, for question 1. Okay, Melissa and Noor. Melissa, have you joined Noor?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good, perfect. All right. So you need to catch up a little bit. Maybe, Melissa, maybe you could start answering question 2 because there's 5 minutes left. All right, now I'm going to look at your answer to question 4. Okay, let's see, Jeffrey and Rebecca, you say it's false. How do we see past recordings? Right, there's one from Tuesday that I will post today, but unfortunately I did not get to do it yesterday, but I promise. Isaac, you're answering these 2 questions by saying true or false, and then presenting evidence for your position. Of course, it has to be done with your partner. Who is your partner, Isaac?
So what do that have to do with the top downs and the
That's right. Yes.
samples?
So
What do that have to do with that?
yes, anything that has to do with perceiver's characteristics. Is it bottom up or is it top down? Nick says my computer froze, so I had to restart. Okay, I'm sorry, Nick. It was you.
But what does that have to do with the question? I'm saying, what does the top down have to do with the question?
Okay.
It's just a separate thing you're saying now?
So Isaac, right? Think of if you take an object that you're trying to perceive, what kind of information would be bottom up? And what kind of information will be top down? So in this particular case, the question is about perceiver's characteristics. That is, who you are as a person. Is that the bottom up or is it the top down information? Where does it come from? Does it come from the object or does it come from you?
Based on the article?
Based on the bottom up and top down from chapter 3, right?
I'm saying, how are we defining that? How are we saying if it's top down or bottom up? From the article?
No, from chapter 3. From chapter 3 of the textbook. I'm looking for the page to give you.
I mean, I know what top down and bottom up is.
Isaac, it's a simple question. So when you're looking at the object, the stuff that emanates from the object, remember the proximal stimulus, the patterns of energies, is it bottom up or is it top down?
Patterns of it.
Right. So
I mean, that's top down, I guess. But
no, it's bottom up. It's the features of the object that have nothing to do with you or your expectations, right? So anything that comes from the object, sort of objective, that's bottom up. Anything that comes from you, your knowledge, your memories, your attitudes, all of that is top down.
okay, so we're supposed to say if it's top down or bottom up?
Well, I'm asking you, so you want me to answer the question. All right, the answer is you have to come up with an example where the perception of the object is not totally objective. It's your contribution that makes it different, because you think of the ambiguous figures that we discussed on Tuesday, right? If you have, let's say I'm giving you the, were you with us on Tuesday, Isaac?
No.
Oh, unfortunately. Okay, that's why. So imagine that I'm giving you a picture that is ambiguous. And the example was, do you have the book with you, Isaac? Look at page 54.
I mean, I know the concepts that you're talking about, so.
Okay. All I'm saying is that if I give you an ambiguous object, the one we discussed, for example, was either a duck or a rabbit. Looks like both. So let's say you are working in a lab where they're training rabbits or something. Then your experience with training rabbits will make you see this ambiguous figure as a rabbit because your experiences with rabbits. So that's top down. That's your life experience, your knowledge, your current thinking. Okay? So I'm asking you to think when the percept changes based on who you are, on what you have experienced in life, on your knowledge, on your beliefs. Maybe you don't believe in ducks. You never saw a duck before. So you will always see a rabbit. But technically, the proximal stimulus, that's the energy, the light waves that are emanating from that image, will give you a possibility of either a duck or a rabbit. So you should be equally seeing both. But if you are biased because you're working with rabbits, maybe you have a rabbit at home. I have a chinchilla right behind me. So maybe I'm biased and now I'll be only seeing rabbits. That's the top-down expectations. Oh, we're beyond our time. Okay, anybody, so you get the idea. Who can give us another example where top-down processing would affect your perception and ultimately the percept that you will construct?
You could use the example in chapter 3 about the cat in the pot. Our expectations and top-down processing, even though you only see the top of the cat, you know there's going to be a full cat there.
Oh, okay. That's one of the depth perception cues will work. Okay, that's a good one. Anybody else who has another example that you can quickly give us?
Did anyone tell you about like two of the same size objects at different, like, I guess, lengths or different spots that make one seem larger than the other?
Can you give us an example, Brandon?
So if you, in the book, like one is, if you have a pen in your hand, you're holding it right in front of your face, it seems bigger than if it was like fully reached out.
Well, that probably is a sort of a combination of bottom up and top down. The top down properties or characteristics are the ones that belong to you. Now, your perceptual system of the pencil is the same as everybody else's. So everybody will see one object as larger than the other. All I'm asking is for you to think of an example where what you are familiar with or know or expect would affect your perception. I can give you an example. In many experiments that I do with children, I have to have pictures of different objects. Obviously, it's almost always animals because kids love animals. So I had a colleague in Moscow who drew a bunch of animals for me, and she drew a particular squirrel. It was completely red, and it had little tassels on its ears. So I'm showing this picture to my American children, and a bunch of them saying, "Who's that?" Okay, for them, the expectation of a squirrel is our New York gray, scrawny squirrels had nothing on their ears. So they don't recognize it as a squirrel because in their experience of life in New York, they don't get to see European orange squirrels with tassels. So percept is the same for Russian children or for American children, but the proximal stimulus is the same, right? But what they construct as the understanding, that's what percept is. What is it? What can it do to us? They don't see it as a squirrel. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I'm asking you to figure out. Let me give you another example and then we move on to the second question. Think about, has anybody taken astronomy as your science prerequisite? Karen did? Nick did? Amanda? Years ago? That's fine. You know, one of the things that we all kind of know about astronomy is the constellations, right? And constellations have names. Can somebody name a constellation that you're familiar with? Big Dipper, yep. Ursa Major, yep. Yeah, that's the Latin name, the Big Bear. So why is it, here is we can even stop right here. So why is it Big Dipper in one language and Big Bear in another language? Isn't the proximal stimulus the same in both cases? So the perception should be the same. You either see a pot or you see a bear. Anybody, somebody who didn't we have somebody who spoke Albanian? No. Anybody
Yes, I do.
You do. Fantastic. Karen, so what's the Albanian name for the Big Dipper?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. When you have a break, why don't you Google it and see if you can find
Wait,
it?
I'm asking my mom. She might know.
Oh, good. Okay. We have a bunch of people who speak Arabic, right?
Oh. In Albanian, it's Ayuri Math.
And how is it translated? What does it mean?
I think it actually means the Big Dipper. Yes.
Oh, so it's a pot. Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But I can say to you guys, and I think Julia is with us, that in Russian it's also a big bear. So why in Albanian and English it is a pot, and in Russian it's a bear? Isn't that because of our cultural expectations of what these constellations might be? Bishoy, you speak Arabic, right?
Yes, Professor, I do.
Okay, so what's the Arabic's name for Big Dipper?
That's really hard to translate, actually, in Arabic. Yeah.
Well, does it have a name in Arabic, or is it just stars?
I think it does. Let me actually ask my mom also.
Oh, good, good.
Knows.
We have mothers. All right. While Bishoy is doing that, let's now look at the second example. So first, is it true or is it false? Then the question was, what was the question? Let me look. If someone is blind in one eye, they will have no depth perception. Yes. So what's your answers, guys? Nick says false. Amanda says false. Simon says false. Oh, okay. Didn't we talk about binocular and monocular cues for depth perception? So binocular cues means that we have two eyes, right? We have conversion and we have retinal disparity. So to have either of these two cues, you have to have two eyes. What about the monocular cues, of which we discussed, I don't know, 8 or so? What does it mean? A monocular cue. That means you get the cue about depth perception from one eye only. And you can do that, right? You can do linear perspective. You see linear perspective with one eye, right? You see superposition with one eye. You see shading. You see atmospheric cues. You see all of these things. So losing one eye will only slightly degrade your depth perception, but you will still be absolutely fine perceiving depth because you still have monocular cues. Monocular means coming from one eye. Oh, you guys, how come you all said false? Did you say false? Right. Yes, you did say false. Right, good. That means they will have depth perception. In this case, you're correct. Okay, yay. Awesome. It's 11:14 right now. Let's take a 6-minute break and come back at 11:20. And then we'll move on to the next exercise, to actually doing lab 1 until 11:20. Okay. And I'm here if anybody wants to chat with me about anything. You can ask me a question.
What we wrote in the Google document for the questions, we have to like submit it to you, or?
No, I have access to those Google documents. I just.
Oh yeah, okay.
The only reason, Nick, that I'm trying, I mean, I could, not just me, but all of us, we can just lecture up to the wazoo, but
No.
that's not fun, right? So I would like you to do, exactly. I would like you to do something.
Yeah.
But it's a little cumbersome because we have to, but now you have the Google Docs, which means we can continue using them without going through this. And I didn't like the breakout rooms in Zoom because I can't have all of you together in breakout rooms, and that's very time consuming. So there are no points for this, and it's just for you to understand the material that we cover better. That's all.
Professor, I just realized I was looking at the wrong question the whole time. So I was looking at the other 3.21, the one, I don't know, the one that we're supposed to do at home or something. I'm not sure. The one about bulimia and body dysmorphia.
Yeah, that's the
so
activities
confused.
for you. These are, so what the stuff that we're doing today, Isaac, if you're gonna go to Blackboard, is in what's called in-class activities. It's the blue link within week 3.
Right, yeah, I saw it now. Just I was so confused with top down and body dysmorphia. I was like, what is going on?
See, you got me very frustrated because I was like, why don't you understand? It's so simple.
Sorry, yeah, I was confused. What's happening?
Okay, so now we're good. Now you are okay, right?
Now I see the right one. Yeah.
That's all right. That's helpful too. You next time you should just scream and say, the question doesn't make any sense to me.
That was very confusing.
Okay. All right. Now you'll be okay now.
Sorry, we have a break now, right?
Yeah, until, well, another 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we do.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get back to, now we will switch gears and talk about your experiment 1. Let's start with this. Okay, so you have finished data collection. More or less good, because we have 20 out of 22. That's decent. 2 people who didn't collect the data, please make sure that it doesn't happen again, because we need every single person we have. So at this point, we have data from 20 people. I downloaded the data yesterday, and I created a file that will be the one for you to use for your data analysis. So like I said in the beginning, I would suggest, you don't have to, this is just make your life a little easy. I would suggest that you use JASP as your statistical analysis program. There's going to be nothing major that you can't do without ever taking a statistics class. So when I say statistical analysis, it just sounds very grand, but it's not. It's very simple. So I suggest you download JASP. They have a couple of tutorials. So just to give you a general idea how it works, 5 minutes is all you need. And then you need a file that you will use in JASP. So that's my little bit about statistics in JASP. To understand what you're doing, right, you need to be able to answer the questions about your data. And the 2 questions that we need to start with are the questions about your independent variable. In your case, your independent variable will always be 1 in all 3 experiments. So there will never be a case of 2 independent variables or 3 or whatever, always 1. And your dependent variable, which can actually be more than 1. So for now, I want you to think back to the experiment. I know some of you took it a little earlier, others just took it Monday, and see if you can answer that question, these 2 questions. So technically, you should probably answer them in your Google Docs, but we don't really have much time. So why don't you just type in the chat, what was the independent variable in that experiment? Remember that the independent variable is the one that affects the dependent variable. So that's the factor that we manipulate as experimenters to measure our participants' behavior, which would be the dependent variable. So let's start with that. who can identify the independent variable in the Stroop effect experiment that you participated in? Okay, let me move on to the bottom of my chat. Okay, so Nick says the color of the word. Melissa, the color of the words. Leroy. Okay, the name of the color being printed in different colors. Okay, good, good. Okay, so now I want you to take the next step. There is a difference between the name of the independent variable. The example that we used before was hair color. That's the name of the variable. And then it has conditions or levels or treatments. These are all synonyms. And the conditions would be blonde, brown, black, you know, if you have a dyed hair, whatever. So here it's a little tricky for you to come up with the good name for the independent variable. But let's see if you can come up with the names for the two conditions. There were only two conditions. Amanda says, would the levels of the independent variable be different colors of the text? Amanda, you're almost there, but you're not quite precise. See if you can give me an example of the two conditions, and then we can come up with the name. The word blue would be in green. Okay, good. It's not a very good name, but it's precisely what it was. Okay, can somebody give us the name for the first condition? The condition where the word blue was in blue. We need a name. We can't use blue, blue because we had red and green, right? We can't say blue, blue, green, green, red, red. It's not a very useful naming convention. Okay, so Amanda says same color, different color. Color match. Oh, Jeffrey, yes, Jeffrey read the article. Okay, so color match would be a possibility. That means that the actual color of the print was spelled out as the name of the word. Again, terribly, very difficult to mouthful, right? Of course, R, C, and D. Jeffrey, can you please unpack this abbreviation? What does it mean? R, C, and little d. I forgot. Okay, so we will use, hopefully, something that will make more sense to you. But if you read, which you will have to, you read the Stroop effect article, experiment 2, that's the one that we want to focus on. We will call the condition where the word color, the print color is the same as the word name. We will call this condition congruent. Okay, congruent. And the case when the print is blue, but the word name is red, is going to be incongruent. Incongruent. So these are the two conditions, right? When we get to the method section, we'll have to explain all of this. But once we name them congruent and incongruent, that's all we have to do, because the reader will know, congruent is when blue, blue. Incongruent is when blue, red. Great, let's do the next question. What was the dependent variable? And actually there were two dependent variables in this experiment, but let's see if you can identify at least one. So Nick says, the independent variable is still the color of the word, and the levels are if they are congruent and incongruent. Yes, the color of the word is not, Nick, is not a very good name, again, because it's not about the color, it's about match, mismatch, right? Congruent, incongruent. So you may have to come up with a better name. Participant scores, Jeffrey, what kinds of scores are we talking about? What was measured in this experiment? What do you think? Errors made. Okay, yeah, that's one variable. We call this variable, Rebecca, accuracy. That is, how accurate were you when you were clicking on the
buttons.
On the buttons, that's right. So what was the second variable, second dependent variable? There were two of them. So we have one, accuracy. That is how accurate you were, how many mistakes you made. I can tell you that we had 20 people times, how many items did we have? 45. So 20
45.
times, yes, 45. There were 16 errors. So not bad. Time. Amanda, yes, you're very close, but be precise, Amanda. Cognitive psychology is a science. What kind of time are we talking about? What is the name that we use in cognitive psychology? Come on, guys, it's not a difficult question. It's abbreviated as reaction times. Yes, Melissa, perfect. It's abbreviated as RTs or RT. Perfect. So now we know that we have our independent variable. I will call it color for now, just because I don't want to type a lot of things. And we have our dependent variables that are accuracy and RTs. All right. Once we have the design, our next step is to identify the type of these variables. And I'll come back to this. So the type of the variable is the kind of scale it's measured on. And that's actually will be something that we'll talk about next time. But I will tell you for now that the color obviously is a variable that has names as values. So it's known as categorical variable that is measured on the nominal scale. Now I want you to make sure that you take notes of this because you'll have to look all of this up. We don't have enough time to do it in class. Our dependent variable, on the other hand, is reaction time, which means it is continuous. I hope you learned all of that in 201. Okay, and it's measured on the ratio scale. So now this is what I'm going to just give you as a given, and I would like you to perhaps spend some time looking this all up. The kind of statistical analysis that you will have to do is the statistical analysis where dependent variable is categorical and where independent variable is categorical and dependent variable is continuous. So your categorical variable affects your continuous variable. Okay, and that is the analysis you'll have to do. It's the most simple inferential statistical analysis there is under the sun because you only have one independent variable with two levels. So I'll stop here for now, but we'll continue talking about this. So once you...
Professor?
Yes, go ahead, Noor.
What do you mean by nominal scale?
Nominal scale is a scale where the levels of values are names. So you, Noor, Bishoy, Isaac, Brandon, Nick, these are all names. What can you do with names, Noor, when you are trying to analyze them?
Like analyze each participant for the experiment?
No. Let's say I have people in my class, right? And all these people have names. Can I have an average?
An average of what?
Exactly. That's a good question, Brandon, right? Can I have an average of names? Can I have, no, right?
No, you
Because
can't.
this, exactly, because this is a nominal variable. It has names. But the only thing you can do with names is
Categorize, like group,
categorize them by
alphabetical.
doing, for example, by having a frequency analysis.
Yeah,
So
Professor, I'm taking that. I'm taking that in Psych 266 actually.
Yay, Bishoy, perfect. You'll be our consultant. So I can say how many people in my class have first names that starts with B. And I have you, Bishoy, I have Brandon. Do we have anybody else whose first name starts with a B? Right? So these are actual counts. That's all you can do with names. You can just count them. See, Noor, I can say there's only one Noor in my class. I cannot make an average of your name and let's say Isaac's name or something like that, because names are not numbers, right? They're names. So that's what the nominal scale does. It only measures the frequency, saying, oh, how many items are there in this category? How many items are in this category? A continuous variable is the one that is actually a number on the number line, right? And with numbers, what can we do with numbers? Can we have an average of a number?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect, right. So if we are measuring, let's say I send all you guys to run your mile, I can measure your speed, and then I can say in the class of 22 people, the average speed of running a mile is, I don't know, 6 minutes, something like that. And that is the continuous scale, continuous variable measured on a ratio scale. There you can do averages and standard deviations and all wonderful things that we can do with numbers that we cannot do with names. Does it make sense to you, Noor?
Yeah, so continuous basically deals with like an average.
It's continuous scale means numbers. This I'm simplifying just for you to understand. So reaction time data, right? That is how fast you clicked on these buttons. Obviously, that data are numbers. But whether the font and the name were the same or different, congruent or incongruent, that's a name. These are names. These are not numbers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You got it? Okay,
All
good.
right.
So
Thank you, Professor.
let's move on. So this is how your JASP will look like when you download it. Then, as I say, you should go and do a couple of little tutorial lessons just to give you some ideas of what these buttons are. Next is, once you open JASP, and I'll do it next, you have to navigate to where your file is. Now, this file is going to be attached. I will attach it to the link in the Finding 5 Experiment 1 menu on the Blackboard. So now I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint and start showing you JASP. Okay, so let's share JASP. There we go. You stop. Oh, let's do it again. It was the wrong one. This one. Okay, so now can you guys see the JASP opening screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So here there is a link. Tell me if, let me make it a little larger. If it's too small, there's not much that I can do to make it larger, so I'll have to explain to you. There is a link at the bottom that says, so open a data file and take JASP for a spin. So that's what I'm going to do. It gives me the menu on the left, and it says, where would you like to get your file? Now, obviously, you're going to get it from the computer. Okay, so I already looked at it yesterday, so I'm just going to go into my file, my documents, whatever, and get that file. You have to navigate to whichever folder you have. Where you would have that. All right. Can you now see my next screen that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns?
Yes.
Okay, great, perfect. So let's look at this file quickly. What you see in the first column, let me get my annotation going. What you see in the first column is a participant number. Now, I have no idea which of you is which participant, so don't ask me. These are just numbers. As you can see, for whatever reason, there is 19, but there's actually 20. It doesn't matter for now. There should be 20 people, okay? Each person is coded with a random number, and in this case, from 394 to 610. We actually don't need this column. It's just there for you to realize where the data are coming from. Now, in the next two columns, all right, let's continue, right? I want you to look at the column names. Can somebody guess what they mean? So the first one is Kong Ak. The second one is an incog Ak. What are they? Okay, congruent. Congruent. The first one is incongruent, the second one.
Congruent accuracy, non-congruent accuracy.
Yeah, that's correct. So this is our first dependent variable, accuracy. So now I want you, and what is it measured in? What are the units for accuracy?
Percent?
Percent, And if it's percent, what kind of variable is it? Is it categorical or is it continuous?
Categorical.
Leroy, percent. Are these names or numbers?
Oh, sorry.
These are numbers, right? And if they're numbers, they are continuous, okay? So we have a dependent variable that's accuracy, good. Now let's look at the first one, congruent accurate. What do you, if you just eyeball the numbers here, what do you see?
It's out of 100%.
Which means every single one of you did not make any mistakes when the color of the print and the color name were the same, were congruent. So blue, blue, or green, green, or red, red. Everybody was perfect, right? Now let's look at the other one when the color of the print was different or incongruent from the name of the color. What do you see now?
People made mistakes.
Okay. Who can guess? It doesn't have to be you nor anybody. What does 96.7 mean?
That were 96.7% correct.
Good. Well, where does this number come from? How do we calculate it, Leroy? Doesn't have to be a question to you. It can be a question to anybody. So we have people 399. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is, okay, good. Yes, Jeffrey knows. There are 8 people who never made any mistakes in either of the two conditions. But there are 12 people who did. So 394 is 96.7 and 403 is 93.3. Why is it? Why is this difference between these two participants? So Jeffrey says correct divided by total. So now there's something that you need to write down, that there were 15 items in congruent condition and there were 30 items in incongruent condition. Why such a difference? Why not 15-15 or 30-30? Yes, Nick. Congruent is easy. We don't expect there to be mistakes. Why do we need to torture people for 30 items? So technically we could have 15 and 15 or 30 and 30, but we really wanted, I mean Stroop and Coglab, we want more items of the ones that will give us the results than the ones that we don't really care about. So now, going back to my question, why in the incongruent accuracy condition we have 96.7? That means that out of 30 trials, that participant made just one mistake. So 29 were correct and one was wrong. Now, who can tell me what 93.3 means now? Yes, exactly. That person answered 28 trials correctly and made 2 mistakes. And we can see that that's all we have. At the most, people would make 2 out of 30. So here's a couple of more people who made 2. Right, and there's a bunch of people who just made 1. All right, okay, all these guys. All right, now let's look at the other columns, the other 2. What are they? Who can guess? Reaction time. Again, where? Reaction time in congruent condition. And the reaction time in incongruent condition. Okay. Let's again do a little bit of eyeballing. It's a little difficult, but what you should do is compare the numbers in pairs. So look at the first one and compare to the second one. What do you see? What's the pattern that is emerging by looking at the pairs of numbers? So there's 20 of them and so on. Yes, higher is slower. That's how we interpret the reaction time, Nick. Exactly. So who can give us the generalization about comparison of the numbers in the reaction time data? So Rebecca says it gets higher in the incongruent compared for the most part. Okay, good. When you say for the most part, Rebecca, because there are a couple of people, right, where it's actually not the case. Who can give me the numbers, the participant numbers of those for whom the pattern is reversed?
Number 15.
Number 15. The numbers are 3-digit numbers.
Oh, so then number 467.
467. Yes, okay, that's one of them.
427.
427. Very good. 427. No, not 427. You meant 410, perhaps. We are looking for the cases, Leroy, where congruent reaction time is actually higher than incongruent reaction time. That would be the reverse pattern. Where else
13.
do we get?
Would it be 13?
Give me the number from the participants column.
461.
461.
Yeah,
yep.
461.
461. How about, do we have another one? No. Okay. So we have 3 people.
455.
455. Yes. Okay. So we have 3 or 4 people out of 20 for whom the pattern is different. Although for the number 410, it's almost the same. So now, good, 441. Right. So now we are saying that if we were to average, and we can do averaging here because these are numbers, right? This is the continuous variable. The average mean, right, for congruent reaction time should be slower or faster than for the incongruent reaction time. What do you think, guys?
It should be faster.
Because?
Well, based on the scores, most of them are.
Okay, but use your thinking of Brandon. Use your thinking of the experiment. Why should we expect congruent reaction time to be faster than incongruent reaction time? So Ari says it's easier.
Yeah, because when you see green on green, it's like it registers faster with you.
Okay, so you're right. It's easier, but then the question is, why is it easier? And that's where your knowledge of the Stroop effect, and this is what's going to happen for chapter 4. You have your Stroop effect described in chapter 4. Let me see which page where I really want you to
Page
think.
70.
Page 70. No, I don't think so. I think it's further than that. Attention, affects our perception. Okay, it's page 83 through 84. Now, these pages you have to really, really read well. Okay, 83 through 84. Because these pages give you the rationale and the hypothesis for the experiment. Okay, next. I know I'm sort of doing it a little fast, but now I can only do 2 things. I have to do 2 things. I can do the descriptive statistical analysis, and I can do the inferential statistical analysis. If you look at the top, right, you see here, let me get my annotation again going. You see this button called descriptives. And that's what you should start with. So let's get rid of that. When I click on this button, now I have to get rid of all the stuff. Doesn't matter. We have two dependent variables. Remember, one is accuracy. It's these 2 columns. Tell me if you don't see what I'm doing, because that's important. If I don't hear from you, I assume that you are following. So that's our dependent variable 1, accuracy. And this is our dependent variable 2. And that's reaction time data. Down here, you have 2 options. You have statistics and you have plots. I mean, you can have plots if you would like to do that. But what we're really interested in is statistics. So when we click on that arrow, it will open up this little table. And as you can see, for now, mean is clicked. Okay, and we also want standard deviation. It's also clicked. But what I don't have the variables here on the right. So I'm going to take cong ec and incong ec and move them here. And now you have this little table. And it's easy to interpret, right? It says there are 19 observations. There will be 20. I don't know why it's showing 19. I'll check. We'll see that in congruent accuracy, the mean is 100%, and the mean in incongruent accuracy is 97. Obviously, standard deviation is 0 because there is no deviation, and here the standard deviation is 2.6. So what are the numbers that you need for your lab report? Let's go back to this. We need the N, that is how many participants. Remember, it's going to be 20 when I post the file. We need the means, these two numbers, and we need standard deviations. We don't need anything else. Okay. Now, if you're curious, of course, you can do plots. Let's do, what do we want to do? Let's do box plots. Okay, so now what JASP is showing you, so this is the congruent accuracy, it's 100, so it looks funny. Here is the incongruent accuracy, and that's because we have people whose accuracy was 93.3, that's where this little, to continue doing this, we have this little cell here, and we have plenty of people who were at 100. Okay, and this black thick line is the mean, which is 97.3. Now you will have to create a figure, but not in JASP. You will have to do it in Excel, which is much sort of easy, and then you'll learn how to do it, and we'll take care of that next time. So that was the descriptives. So these are the 6 numbers that you need for accuracy, and you need the same 6 numbers for reaction time data. I'm not going to do it for you because I would like you to try to do it, not necessarily now. Finally, the last step, and this is the step where you would need to be a little bit more creative, because you will have to figure out the second part of statistics, which is known as inferential statistics, and that's the hypothesis testing. So the hypothesis that we discussed just a minute ago was that the reaction, I'm going to just be talking about reaction time, that the reaction time in a congruent condition, blue-blue, should be faster than the reaction time in the incongruent condition, blue-red. And you said because of the brain, because of easiness and whatever. When you read about attention, right, it's going to be about attention. So now you need to test the hypothesis. So you need to say the reaction time data in congruent condition, what is its mean? And the reaction time in the incongruent condition, what is its mean? And then you have these two numbers, like you have here, 197, and you'll have standard deviations. Now you need to say, I need to conduct one very simple statistical test to tell me whether these two means, I'm showing you accuracy, but you will be doing it for reaction time data, whether these two numbers are different, statistically different from each other. Okay, I know I'm asking you a little bit more than perhaps you're ready to handle, but you can do it. It's not very difficult. You can look up a simple statistical description, knowing your independent and your dependent variables. If you have this information, figuring out the statistical test that you can do is a one-step search. And once you have that information, that is, you know which test you're going to want to do, you have all of these here in the menu. You have t-tests, ANOVA, analysis of variance, mixed models, regression, frequencies, and factors. Let's remember, I'm asking you to do the simplest thing there is under the sun. So if you're going to go into mixed models, that's not it. You can also email me and say, I think that's what we should do. And I will say yes or no. I will help you to figure out, but you need to do some legwork first. So that's important for me, that it's not just me telling you what to do. I would like you to figure out. So to do that, again, let me repeat, you need to be able to figure out the design. You need to look up the types of variables and how they're measured. Again, we'll do that next Thursday as well, so that you are more prepared. And once you have that, it's very easy to figure out how do you analyze an independent variable that's categorical with 2 levels and its effect on dependent variable, that's continuous. That's all you need to know. These pieces of information will, that's why statistics is not difficult. Statistics is actually very straightforward, as long as you have some answers to your design. Because statistics, after all, is testing a hypothesis, and a hypothesis is sort of preset by your design. All right, I'm gonna stop here about statistics and just spend, I know we only have 5 minutes left. I'll start talking to you about the APA style, and then the exercise 3.1 that you have, you should do it on your own between now and next Thursday. So let me open my APA writing a lab report and share it with you, and we will be done in 5 minutes. Okay, so again, go on, open up. So we're talking about writing your lab report. So let's start with the first things. You would have to do it in Word. In this case, using Google Docs is perfect. But at the end, you have to check to make sure that Google Docs did not mangle your APA formatting. So saving it as a PDF might work. Oops, what did I do? Yes, everything you do for the lab report as a group work should be in Google Docs for several reasons. One of them is because you can work simultaneously. It doesn't affect your doing it together. And then because Google Docs saves the history that will tell us exactly how much time each of you spent on that document. So perhaps you may want to, and that's not the one that I will look at unless you want me to during class time. That may be the one that you would want to create as a separate Google Doc from this one. Anyway, so you have to make sure that you have margins at 1 inch all around. Your font should be Times Roman 12 points, and the line spacing should be double for everything. Set it up as default in your Google Docs. Okay, next comes the title page. Okay, it has to have page number in the header with 5 spaces from the end of the line. They should not be running heads, so I should get rid of that. Then comes about the 3rd page down comes your title. And the title has to reflect the results of your experiment. We'll talk about it a little bit more next time. So you have to think. Usually, take it from somebody who writes lots of papers. We have a working title when we work on a paper as a group, as a team. And at the end, when the paper is ready, we give it a proper title. So have something. You can call it a soup effect for now and work with that until you get to the end. When you write the results, then you say, that's what my title should be. Then come the names of the 2 authors that have to be in the alphabetical order of your last names. So if we have, let's say, Karin Isufi, and we have Raphael, whose last name starts with a P, but I don't remember. We will start with Karin Isufi as the first author and Raphael as the second. Your affiliation, this is the official name of our institution, and that's what it should look like. The College of Staten Island of the City University of New York. There is things like that follow that are the course number, my name, the date, all of that is posted for you on a Blackboard in the title subsection. I'm just going through a little bit quick, but we'll come back to that next Thursday once you have a look at that. Then comes the abstract. Again, the second to the last thing that you will do. So let's forget about this for now and just quickly review the introduction. Here is the most important thing. Your introduction has to have 3 paragraphs. Okay. For the next report, it may be more than 3. For now, it's just 3. So each paragraph, here is the thing here, should consist of 3 parts. I call them sentences. So there is a transition sentence that doesn't apply to the first paragraph because there is no transition. You start from scratch. Then there's a key sentence. That's the one that the paragraph is all about. And finally, some evidence. So minimally, you have to have 4 sentences per paragraph, 6 to 8 in general. And we call it the square paragraph rule because its length is approximately the same as its width with the double spacing. Okay, so at this point, I'm done. Unless somebody has a burning question, stay with me. Otherwise, the class is over, and I'll see you guys, those of you who would like to attend the attention lecture on Tuesday.
Have a nice weekend, everyone, and happy holiday to anyone Jewish.
Okay, Leroy, thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
I have a quick question, Professor.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm listening.
So the APA formatting, that's for when like we have to find like sources from like online that we include in the lab report. That's when we use the APA.
We use APA format for everything we write, Nick. So it's the components of the lab report. It's the way you cite sources in the introduction. It's the way you put you only will have one reference. That's the Stroop article. All of that is known as the APA format. So when you say that we have to use APA formatting for online sources, technically yes, but in this lab report you don't have it.
It's only the one article that you provided to us. The one you already told us to read, yeah.
That's right. That's the only one.
So when we're writing, we have to like, if we say something that relates to that, we have to like cite it and say like, oh, this comes from there, like something like that.
Right. So when you are doing your first paragraph, you'll just have to talk about something that has to do with attention. Again, I'm not putting the words in your mouth. But the second paragraph of the introduction has to be based on the citation, well, on this article, on the original article. So you have to summarize Stroop effect. And of course, you have to cite it. You have to say, Stroop, parentheses, 1935, conducted an experiment. So Stroop, parentheses, 1935, that's how you would cite the source according to the APA's format.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Professor?
Go ahead, Noor.
Are we gonna have access to the data?
Yes, I will post it now within the next 15 minutes. It will be on Blackboard in Finding 5 Experiment 1. There is a link there, but the data is not attached. The data file is not attached yet, but I will do it next.
Okay. Oh, Professor?
Yes, Justin.
So the thing you told us, the JAS, we have to download that?
Yes,
is
you
it
have to
optional
download
or?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's completely optional. If you can do your data analysis somewhere else, that's fine with me.
Wait, but we have to, once we download it, we have to like create our own thing, or like, you know how you just showed us right now, like
that file, the Excel file with your data, will be on the Blackboard in 10 minutes.
Oh, you're gonna post it, okay?
Absolutely, yes, of course.
Okay, thanks.
You're not gonna. Can you imagine, Justin? You have to reinvent data. That would be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be fun for me. It's not going to be fun for you. All right, so I'll post it. Take care.
Have a good
Professor.
week.
Yes, Noor, go ahead.
So, wait, sorry. As of now, we can't do the abstract and we can't do the conclusion. So the only thing that we
There is
can
no
do...
such thing as conclusion in the APA.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that actually. Because I've never done APA. Can you just like tell me like a brief summary of like what
an
APA would be?
Let me.
I just know that it has an abstract and an introduction. I've never done APA. Yeah.
Have you taken 201?
No.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a little bit of a problem for you, but you can learn because it's something that is available to us. So let me share the screen with you. Okay. No, can you see my Blackboard? Yeah. Okay, good. So if you go to finding 5 experiments, right? I'm clicking on that. All right. So here you have Stroop effect data. That's where the data will be. And you see the APA sample paper right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you click on that, you're going to get an APA paper.
Yes.
And here it tells you these are the components that your APA report should have.
Mm.
So all you have to do is look at the paper and then start formatting your paper the same way as the sample papers here. So it's much easier for you just to look at it than for me to spend. If you want to learn more about APA style, here's APA style link on the left. Okay. Again, you have the APA paper here. And then you have an easy guide to APA style, which is just chapters from a book. And here is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 10. These are the important ones. You don't need all of them. So you can just go and read whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
So
And
all of that is here.
mm-hmm. And the assignment is going to be due in October, right?
October 1st.
All right, perfect.
So
right,
I suggest that you and your partner start writing so you have a draft and you can then discuss it amongst yourselves. You can even ask we can do that if you have something to show to other people. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Professor.
Okay. See you
All right,
guys.
have a good day.
You too.